Are we filming? Yes, we are. So welcome to another video. This is a review of the Kensington in pocket size. And I want to tell you this before we start. In my opinion, even though I'm a fan of English-made vintage binders of yesteryear, arguably, as far as I'm concerned, this is one of the best and greatest Filofaxes ever made. Let's do the review. So, the Kensington, and in this case it's the pocket Kensington, but I have had a personal size Kensington, which is very, very similar in quality, and this really is very, very good quality indeed. It's not made in England, and I am a fan of English-made Filofaxes of yesteryear, but you know, this is progress, and in order to save the brand, I guess, it was felt necessary to move manufacturing abroad, where labour rates were cheaper, and then ship Filofaxes back into the UK and elsewhere around the world. But that is the way of things with many products these days. But this is not made in England, but nevertheless, the design and specification of this binder is very good. It is, let me just show you this. So it says, it's embossed here, it says Filofax Pocket Kensington Real Leather, and it is real leather. I'm not an expert at leather, but what I would say with this is, and I have discovered this because a few years ago, maybe about 10 years ago, I just dissected one of these to find and discover the many layers of man-made materials underneath this leather. However, I don't know how much use this Filofax has been subjected to, but it looks pretty good. And miracles of miracles, this came from an eBay seller who actually cleaned it before sending it to me, and that, I'm afraid to say, is a very rare occurrence. Normally you get dead skin particles, hair, and goodness knows what, and to the extent that sometimes you have people leaving all sorts of things in the pockets, so you have to be careful. But this came to me in fabulously clean condition, and it smells great. So this was made in just for a few years, between 1999 and 2003, I believe, and it came in 6 different colours, and it's just a pocket size Filofax, 15mm rings, which for many people is the sweet spot, I guess. Let's talk about the rings, because these rings are, and every Filofax is different from this era, and it depends how they've been treated, but these rings are very nice. They're firm, they're positive, they are absolutely perfect in every way. So I don't know who made these, but they're overstamped Filofax, as you can see, and they just seem to be that they have lasted well. Okay. What about the features here? I think before we talk about the features, we need to talk about flatability. And the flatability isn't perfect, but do you know what? I would give that a 9 out of 10. It's not bad. I'm not a fan of bending things back, but if you do bend things back, then you've got a you know, it's ostensibly 10 out of 10, especially if you've got the extra weight of dividers and paper inserts. It's good enough. It's more than good enough, and I would be happy using this as a working tool. It would pass the flatability test for me. Let me show you this. This is the strap, and I'm a big fan of this one because it is functional. It is 2 layers of leather sewn together. None of this sandwiching in a piece of rubber inside to give the illusion of thickness of leather. This was made in an era where things where there was an overlap between function and fashion. And I know that the fashion these days is to have these huge, humongous, chunky straps. But essentially, all that is required is 2 pieces of leather sewn together like this, and the stitching is very, very well made, and it has a bit of flexibility, so you could potentially tuck this underneath your insert or inside the zip. It's not going to make any difference to your hand if you're right-handed. It's not so stiff as it's going to become annoying when you're writing. It's okay. Other features include this, and I've spoken about this for a couple of years now. I do prefer these, what I call outbound pen loops, where instead of having the economical way of this is getting a piece of leather, folding it over, and then sewing it into the hem. But the problem with that is that the pen loop faces inwards, and you find this on many Filofaxes today, presumably to save money. But this is properly done. It's got a proper slot, and it's properly sewed in, so that the outbound pen loop is away from the dividers and the we're well away from any confrontation between pen loop and divider. So I like that. I also like this, and this is a rarity, and that is a gusseted pen loop, and the gusset is very, very good quality. And I know this costs money, but it is a feature that you should look for if you are interested in storing things in your Filofax. This is really, really nice quality, and the zip it's nice and smooth, and when it's closed, it actually is covered, so it doesn't interfere with the paper too much. Somewhat bizarrely, there are Filofax, to today's Filofax models, there are some where I think they've made a mistake, and in order to close the zip, the actual zip ends up down here, which can affect the palm of your hand. And also it just seems ludicrous that I mean, if you had a zip in your pocket, you would close the zip by pulling it up. You wouldn't close it by pulling it down. But this is, thankfully, the way that most zips, this follows convention, where the zip actually closes up, and that's nice. I have myself removed the zip because I don't use this. I don't particularly use zips to good effect, and I know from experience that if you remove the zip, then this really does lay nice and flat, and so you can use this as a writing surface rather than using some sort of dashboard at the back of your binder. So everything about this binder oozes quality, in my opinion. These corners, there's a little bit of fraying there, so there's obviously some sign of wear, but not too much. But the quality of the stitching, everywhere is superb. And to be honest, even though I like vintage binders, some of the vintage binders are a bit rough, especially those made from Moroccan leather. And I like the fact that this is well made and it has a sort of soft feel to it. Okay, it's not leather completely. There are layers of man-made material. Excuse me. Man-made material underneath this, but it is just the way of it, isn't it? It's just the way of it. Embossed Filofax logo there. It just is a very, very practical thing. It oozes quality, and it's very, very practical. You've got not only the zip pocket there, but you've got a full length pocket on the right hand side, a full length pocket on the left hand side, which means that if you de-ringed it, as many people do, this may work very, very well as a leather cover for for a notebook. Okay, I haven't tested it, but it is something that many people do. If there is a full-length pocket on this side and this side, you've got some card slots here, the ubiquitous card slots, and it just looks nice. And the pièce de résistance is, or the pièce de résistance is the full-length pocket, which is very, very useful. And I personally think that if it weren't for the pocket, this would have perfect flatability. As it stands, it's difficult to get perfect flatability when you've got this by necessity. You've got this material has to be long enough to cover an outer radius that is greater than the inner radius, and so you know, you can understand that, can't you? But I would say this is as close as perfect flatability as one could get with this kind of design. And talk about desire, this is a desirable item. When they come up for sale, those in the know will seek these out and get their bidding fingers going. And I know that over the years, over the 12 years or so that I've been really interested in filofaxes, these command good prices, and it's hardly surprising. Anyway, thank you very much for... I'm going to cough again, dear oh dear. I'm not going to edit it out. This is the real world. Thanks very much for watching. Until my next video, goodbye.